the Cell 2014 is done. It's in the books. Not horrible, to be honest with you. I was pleasantly surprised, actually, that they delivered a somewhat decent show. Not a 10 out of 10 or anything like that, but I was happy enough with the show. Happy as we could be, anyway, for a show that we weren't expecting to be very good. I think the wrestlers deserve a lot of credit tonight because we had no world title defended on the show. We also had no title changes on the show, and I think most of us, except for, of course, one little match, pretty much enjoyed the show. Hopefully that one little match didn't ruin the whole fucking thing for everybody. Now, why don't we just start with the elephant in the room? The most ridiculous thing to me about this pay-per-view was that the concern and the worry over which match was going to come in which order was more important than the pay-per-view itself. It's just fucking mind-numbing with the CENA paranoia. But luckily for all of us, because I mentioned in my last commentary that I wanted Rollins and Ambrose to main event. To me, that made the most sense, especially when John Cena had a match with Dean Ambrose to get the right to face Seth Rollins. So to me, that match had to be the main event. But then, the WWE throws us a curveball and makes the Cena-Orton match for the #1 contendership. So then I was like, well, now they can justify making Orton and Cena the main event. Everybody that didn't want to see that happen was having a goddamn brain aneurysm over this thing, and I was the one that was trying to just be reasonable and saying, hey, I'm not saying that this is what we want to see. The WWE should give Ambrose and Rollins the chance to main event a pay-per-view, especially when you're not having the world title defended on it. This is their chance to do it. But if they would have made it the other match, and it had to be Cena and Orton because the winner faces Brock, I still think Seth and Dean could have done equally as good of a job. But luckily, that wasn't an issue. They made that match the main event like it should have been. But unfortunately, that means that John Cena is probably going to have to win because the WWE isn't going to let you have your cake and eat it too. So if you're going to be bouncing all over the fucking walls worrying about what the main event is, the WWE sure isn't going to give you the pleasure of watching John Cena get defeated. Man, it's a shame. I really wanted to see Randy Orton and Brock Lesnar. I'm amazed that the WWE will give us 4 John Cena versus Brock Lesnar matches before they'll give us just 1 Randy Orton versus Brock Lesnar match. And on top of that, am I the only one that realizes that those two guys would probably actually have a great match in the ring? I think Orton and Lesnar could be better than Orton and Cena. To me, we've been waiting for this thing for over a decade, but they decided to give Cena the victory. Now, judging from the finish of Night of Champions, I'm not surprised that we're getting another match. That finish alone should have tipped us all off. I was just hoping that, WWE would at least go through with a Randy Orton and Brock Lesnar feud, at least right now. Now, I'm not going to be a crazy cynic and think that this whole fucking thing is over and never has a chance of happening. Who's to say they still can't do it? Who's to say Randy Orton still does not turn babyface and gets a shot at Brock in the future? We don't know that that's not going to happen, and to automatically assume, oh, forget it, the whole thing's ruined now, that's just jumping the gun. That's being too fucking cynical. Why don't we wait and see? But to me, this was the time. Let these two guys have a match at Survivor Series or Royal Rumble or whenever the fuck it's going to be. I think it would be great. But nope, we got to get John Cena versus Brock Lesnar 4, and here we go again. I know the cynics are going to be coming out of the woodwork. They already are. They were driving me fucking up the wall, on Twitter during the Hell in the Cell, freaking out about this shit. 100% convinced that there is no contest whatsoever. John Cena is not only going to defeat Brock Lesnar whenever this match takes place, but he's going to squash Brock Lesnar. Sounds familiar. Remember back when they inserted John Cena into the Money in the Bank match back in July? I made a couple of John Cena videos back then, and I swear to you, go back and look at the comments in that video, unless people have taken them down. I can't tell you how many people told me, oh, GoodMicWork, you're being way too optimistic about Brock Lesnar. John Cena's just going to beat him at SummerSlam and win the title and yada, 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 yada. And I'm thinking to myself, are you fucking high? Are you higher than me? What was the goddamn point of having Brock beat The Undertaker? Haven't we heard all these stories about them preparing for WrestleMania 31, building big matches and having big guys available? And building big monsters and all of that. That's what was in place with Brock Lesnar. Now everybody assumes that just because the rumors are out that Brock Lesnar might not compete until the Royal Rumble, I think that's ridiculous. I think that's ludicrous. I have no idea how they're even going to pull that off. I'm pretty sure we're going to see Brock before then. But if it indeed is that long, that's got everybody convinced that WWE didn't know about this, and now they have to change all their plans and put the belt on John Cena. Now, I know the WWE is a clusterfuck. I know it seems like creatively they are a mess right now. But when it comes to a guy like Brock Lesnar, an investment that large, the amount of money they're paying this guy in his ridiculous contract, that's not the type of guy and that's not the type of money that you just want to come up with shit on the fly for. I'm sure the WWE has had a long-term plan in place for Brock Lesnar. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt on this one. I say they still stay the course. Everybody, it's just amazing how everybody is so convinced that, that John Cena is just going to upend Brock Lesnar. The same exact reasons that I laid out before the SummerSlam match is the same ones I'm going to lay out now. It wouldn't make sense. Trust me. I know WWE overpushes John Cena. He always wins. All that other fucking nonsense that you guys spew out of your mouths that you're reading out of the I Hate John Cena textbook. I get all of that. But the WWE is not so super ridiculous that they're not going to end all of this with Brock Lesnar at the hands of John Cena. At least get a payoff for it. That's the point of putting the belt on Brock to begin with. Use Brock Lesnar to establish your future, not to establish a guy that's already been established. That was my point back in SummerSlam. I'm like, any idiot with two eyes can see this. Why would they just have Brock Lesnar go in there to challenge for the WWE title just to get beat? That's not going to happen. I still think the WWE has got plans for Brock at least until WrestleMania. And I'm not saying Brock is necessarily going to beat Cena because maybe the WWE just doesn't have it in them to do that and they're still going to have to make the match shady or whatever. I don't care if the WWE has to take the long way. I don't care if it takes them 4 fucking matches of John Cena and Brock Lesnar, as long as the end result is they keep the title off of John Cena. Because as fans and a lot of you who cannot stand John Cena, I think right now that's the best you can hope for, is that he just stays away from the title. And I expect him to. So if you want to drive yourself crazy, and keep yourself up all night and chew on your fucking blanket worrying about whether or not goddamn John Cena is going to win the WWE title, you go right ahead and enjoy that paranoia. But I am not going to get involved in that this time around. It has been 4 fucking years of me having to listen to this John Cena fucking nonsense. Just get a grip is all I'm saying, because I'm right there with you. I was on board with everybody else that wanted to see Orton win this match. And on top of that, especially how over Orton is right now, kind of, on the internet with all those RKO Vine videos, even the WWE took advantage of that. And knowing the WWE the way we do, and they're hard on for publicity, I'm surprised that they didn't capitalize on this. I thought, that finish of that match with Orton and Cena, when Cena AA'd Orton off of the top rope, I thought for sure Orton was going to counter that into an RKO out of nowhere and fucking win the match. So trust me, I was surprised and shocked and as disgusted as all of you were. I was totally disappointed. But at the same time, Hell in the Cell was still a good show. It was built and heavily featured around young guys. So, to me, despite the fact that we have to suffer through this nonsense, it's not enough to just completely dismiss and abandon the whole show and the whole product. Rollins and Ambrose still had their moment. They were still the main event because fuck knows if they weren't, the fans were going to light the goddamn WWE headquarters on fire. But let's move on to other parts of this pay-per-view because it was not all about John Cena's dreaded victory. Like I said, there was a lot of other great shit on this pay-per-view, like the main event. I thought the Hell in the Cell match between Rollins and Ambrose was very good. Little tribute to both famous Hell in the Cell matches between Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, and of course the Hell in the Cell at King of the Ring 1998 with Undertaker and Mankind. They kind of redid Shawn Michaels' bump in the first Hell in the Cell. The only problem I had with this is that this is the type of shit I'm talking about these Hell in the Cells, and the magic is just lost. They're not booked the same way, and the spots are just so overly planned. I didn't like them standing up there. You knew they were going to fall off, and it didn't even look real. It's not like Rollins got his head slammed and he flung backwards and fell off, or they lost their grip. They just both let go and fell into the tables. They completely fucking killed themselves and risked breaking their backs for no fucking reason whatsoever. And then, of course, they got to bring out the EMTs. The stretchers come out there, and I'm like, okay, you can see what's going to happen. They're both going to be carted off. You think the match is going to end like that? Of course not. Back in 1998, when it happened to Mick Foley, you really didn't know because he fell from fucking 25,000 feet up in the air. And it looked like it did kill him. These two guys, you knew they were going to get up. You knew they were doing this for the drama. This was extra added manufactured drama. You know they were both going to come off the stretcher, probably get in the cell, and proceed to have an awesome kick-ass match, which is what they did. And I thought it was kind of cool in a way, that they copied the spot that Shawn Michaels did in his Hell in the Cell match, and then they took the stretcher drama from Foley's match, and incorporated both of them into their Hell in the Cell match. I thought it was nice because they're the new generation of guys. Those are the matches that they grew up watching that made them want to be wrestlers. So I thought that was pretty cool that they threw that in there. Aside from the announce table spot that I didn't like, the rest of the match was very good. I thought it was great. And the ending, holy shit. It's funny. This is the type of ending that I suggested for the John Cena match. I think on my last last commentary, I was saying, hey, if they do make Cena and Orton the main event, and we want to see Orton and Lesnar, maybe a way for them to get out of the match without it harming Cena is to have a new opponent for Cena interfere in the match and cost him the victory. Well, they did that, except they did it with Ambrose and Rollins. Now, on one hand, I wasn't sure if we were going to see the end of Rollins and Ambrose. I thought they had enough heat to continue past Hell in the Cell, but now they've introduced a new opponent for Dean Ambrose, and wow, you want to talk about some great future entertaining shit we might see here. Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt, this is fucking crazy versus crazy right here. I think I want to see the promos in this thing more than the match. It's so funny. Bray Wyatt tries to be so intimidating and so crazy and really psych out his opponent. Boy, he's met his match in Dean Ambrose. I can't wait to see some of the shit they're going to potentially do in this feud. So, as far as the main event goes, I'm perfectly fine with the outcome, and I'm excited for this. Now, I don't know if Rollins is going to hang around in this thing, if there's going to be maybe one more match, maybe something happens tomorrow on Raw to finalize Ambrose and Rollins before he moves on to feud with Wyatt. I don't know. All I know is this feud should be pretty exciting. And this is going to be, I would think, show-stealing stuff. If they really invest their time in it and do it right and do it creatively and actually write some good shit for this, they've got two awesome entertainers that will do a great job of delivering the story, I think. Now, like I said, the rest of the show wasn't horrible either. Dolph Ziggler and Cesaro had a 2 out of 3 fall Intercontinental title match to open the show, and Ziggler won 2 falls to nothing. It was great. I'm happy Ziggler's the champion. I want them to keep the Intercontinental title on him as long as possible. I think he's a great champion, and it was a great match. Usos and the Rhodes brothers had another good match. The problem is, we've seen this so many fucking times, so maybe it's over now that the Rhodes brothers retained, and maybe they can have a new challenger coming up. But despite the fact that we've seen this match over and over and over, it was still good. Sheamus and The Miz, oh my god. Damien Mizdow on the outside of the ring. This guy, is he for real? This shit is fucking unbelievable. He had me laughing my ass off during that match with all the shit that he does. And then at the end, after Sheamus beats The Miz, Sheamus picks up The Miz's lifeless body and starts twirling his arms around, and then Sandow's doing the same thing. I have no idea how they weren't cracking the fuck up in the middle of that ring. If it was me, I'd be dying. You could tell they were holding it in. Even The Miz, who's supposed to be unconscious, you could tell he was about to fucking bust out. It was just, I gotta tell you, Mizdow, Damien Sandow is fucking cracking me up in this gimmick. He's great. He's getting super over. The fans are taking notice, and I think it's only a matter of time before WWE starts doing a little bit more with him. But for right now, this is entertaining as hell. Rusev, as expected, did defeat the Big Show. I didn't see any reason for the Big Show to win this match. They're pushing Rusev like a motherfucker, and he's got the whole, Russian and Putin gimmick, and Lana looked fucking hot in that pink outfit. Goddamn. But Rusev pretty much had his way with the Big Show. Mark Henry was even out there. Rusev even knocked him off the apron. So Rusev looks like a badass against both of these guys, who each of them are twice his size. And he kicks both their asses, and he finally puts Big Show in the camel clutch. Big Show can't get out. He taps out, and the monster push of Rusev continues. There's a guy, by the way, I don't know where he would fit in, but if you're looking for someone to interfere or someone to cost or distract John Cena from winning the WWE title from Brock Lesnar, Rusev might be a guy to run out there for no reason. I mean, there's no reason for him to, but since when does the WWE need a fucking reason? And here's something that'll shock you. I didn't completely hate Nikki Bella and Brie Bella. Under ordinary circumstances, once these girls' music hit, I would completely leave the room, go watch something else, just do something else in general, anything except watch this stupid diva match where, what's the stipulation? The loser has to be the other servant? Talk about using a gimmick that's 100 years old. But then I just got to look at Nikki Bella, and for some reason tonight, not that this woman isn't beautiful, and I think she's the hottest diva on the roster, but tonight she was just extra hot. She was extra GoodMicWork hot. She was driving me fucking crazy. And for that reason alone, I did not change the channel. I did not switch off from the network, and I actually watched the match. And as I watched the match, staring at Nikki drooling the whole time, I was amazed that the match wasn't horrible. And then Nikki won, basically cleanly, knocked out Brie. She wins the match. Her heel push continues, and now Brie has to be her servant or whatever. So I'm sure we're going to see a whole bunch of stupid shit on Raw. Dumb backstage segments of Brie carrying Nikki's bags and Nikki making her do all these humiliating things. But as long as Nikki looks as hot as she did tonight at Hell in the Cell, they can do whatever they want. AJ and Paige, not bad either. AJ retained, which I was happy about. Paige looks like she has another girlfriend. She's hanging out with Alicia Fox now, who I also really like. And I don't know where that's going to lead. I'm sure the two of them will be the next frenemies or BFFs, and they'll have their little feud. You can almost see it coming from across the street. So I'm sure we'll experience that in the near future. But the AJ Page match wasn't bad either. Overall, the show was decent. I think for a lot of people, the John Cena victory is going to knock the show down a couple of points because I gave it a 6.5. But if Randy Orton would have won, I would have made it an 8 easily. But I was happy with it, probably because my expectations were extremely low. I was not expecting much out of this Hell in the Cell. And the fact that I was entertained by it, to me is a good thing. And I'm definitely not hung up on the John Cena shit. I do not fucking care. Don't care where he's ranked on the card. Don't care who his next opponent is. Don't care about anything. So complain about him on your own time and leave me the fuck out of it. I will be back up here on Monday or Tuesday with a Raw review and anything else I've missed because I did take a full week off from doing the commentaries last week. So there might be some news tidbits and some shit floating around, rumors, things like that, that I need to mention. And I'll try to get into that after Raw on Monday night or Tuesday. So keep a lookout for that. Also, this commentary is being released in tandem with my first mailbag Q&A, which is also ready. These should be released pretty much simultaneously, give or take an hour. So you've got 2 new videos to enjoy on the Good Mike Work channel, and I appreciate you guys for listening, and I will catch you in a couple of days. Peace.